Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and the Degenerates. I am Menzo, and this is my forever co-host, John. Today, this week we do a very special lineup for the late great Robin Williams, who would have been 73 this year. And in honor of his memory, we'll do some movies that he's best known for, or some of them. Starting with Jumanji from the 90s. Kind of a classic, kind of a cult hit. Honestly, it's one of those movies where you look back and you're like, damn, I wish this kind of aged better. You know?
Why? Why did it not age great?
I thought the CGI monkeys were like, that can be better.
Oh, okay. Now that you mentioned the CGI, I'm like, yeah, they were. It was horrible. It was.
Yeah.
But you know what I love about Jumanji is that it reminds me of like a little bit of like an R.L. Stein, Goosebumps, maybe Are You Afraid of the Dark, but it's just like a whole movie.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's the same premise? You know,
That's
like
true.
kid turns into a monkey, a child gets transported into a board game. Like it seems like very '90s kids horror,
Yeah.
and I love the entire concept of it. And I love it that Robin Williams is the one playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will say I am a little bit iffed by the new Jumanji, the one with like Kevin Hart, The Rock,
Yeah.
Jack Black, and sorry, her name escapes me, but Nebula from Guardians.
Yeah, Karen Gillan. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're all right. It's the typical 2010s like blockbuster movie that you expect it to be, but like comparing to this one's just a bit more magical. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Robin Williams part. Maybe it's the fact that it's made in the 90s and does feel like Goosebumps, but with a higher budget and with like a bit better actors. If we're being honest. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. Going into the plot, like there's this game, the titular game Jumanji, is like a realistic board game where you roll the dice and consequences happens, such like with Alan Parrish and Sarah White in the 60s, and poor Alan is sucked into the game for years while Sarah White has trauma, and you're like, oh.
yeah.
I mean, Alan's life is, I would say, he's privileged, but at the same time, it's not the best. Like his dad's like a
Not.
typical 60s, like, I take it like a man. You're like, oh, okay, we're here.
Yeah,
All right.
you rub some dirt on it, you know, kind of
Yeah.
guy. Stop crying, kind of dad. And I'm just like, yeesh.
Right.
And then, like later on through the movie, he does project it onto like one of the kid that turns into a monkey.
Yeah. Also, the same actor who plays the dad is the hunter. And you're like,
Yeah,
that
I
makes
love that.
sense. That your worst fear, like you still don't have what it takes to, or like you can't confront your dad yet until that you do, and by the time that happens, that's when you win. You're like, oh, I like the poetry in this one.
Hmm.
I did say some of the effects did age badly, but like some of the practical effects are pretty good. Like the lion that's twice the size of an average lion. You're like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are you supposed to be? You're not a lion. You're like a prehistoric lion. Why?
Didn't that freak you out as a kid when you watch this for the first time? You see it just like come out of the shadows and just like
Oh yeah,
I was like, fuck. I
yeah,
was like, hell no, I ain't messing with that shit.
yeah. I love that Alan, even though he's prepared for the jungle, there's still some things that he won't confront, like his past, like him having to deal with the fact that, oh shit, my parents died merely almost a year before I came back to the real world. Shit.
Yeah. No. That's what I like though. That's one thing that I felt like was a little bit missing from with
Yeah.
the new Jumanji, where you do have a character that was in the '90s,
Yeah.
played the game, and got stuck in got stuck in it, and now it's being played in the 2000s,
Yeah.
and he's kind of like really cool. It's Nick Jonas. He's really cool. He's
Oh,
very
yeah.
capable.
Yeah.
He knows his way around the jungle. While you have Alan, who's been there for 27 years, and man's freaking out about everything.
Yeah.
With Nick Jonas, like, you're not really scared about what's happening all around, because, you know, oh, they're gonna be fine. It's it's, you know, like, oh, you're just here for the fun, the shits and giggles, you know?
Yeah.
And I will say there are merit to that movie. Where there are merits to that movie.
Yeah.
It's fun, but with the original Jumanji, like it really felt like, oh, this thing is dangerous. This thing is not meant to be played,
Yeah.
and like there are some serious consequences when you do play it.
Yeah, and it's
And that's what I love.
No, sorry, I was about to bounce off your point
No.
where Nick Jonas is Mr. Perfect while Alan Parrish is still a mess. Like he's still
Yeah.
like freaking out. It's like I don't know what to do. I don't want to deal with that right now. While Nick Jonas is like, don't worry, I know how to solve this. You're like, there's a difference. I don't like it. I mean, I like the modern movies are fine for what they are. If you've never seen the original, I can see why you like them. But like, if you start with the '90s and started with the '90s movie and the corresponding TV show, you're like, yeah, they're not the same. They're really not.
Yeah. Like I don't know. For me, there was more stakes when it came to the original Jumanji
Yeah.
movie. Like everything was scary.
Yeah.
Like giant mosquitoes that made everybody sick. I was like, Jesus.
Right? That gave you instant malaria. Like some CGI and practical effects, you're like, that's impressive. Sometimes you were like, I can see where the budget's running out because with like the giant spiders, you're like, okay, that's forgivable. You know,
It still freaked me the fuck up.
Yeah. Even though today you're like, yeah, I can find it on like maybe Shopee, like maybe like for a prop. It's still as a kid, I was like, no, God, I don't want this anymore. Please.
Yeah. By the way, Kirsten Dunst is here.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst is here, and like you're like, oh right, I forget. Don't forget that Kirsten Dunst was like a '90s growing up not action, but like growing up movie star, and like later on in life, that's when we met her in like Spider-Man. But for like most of the '90s, she was like growing up in front of people's eyes with like Jumanji and what's the name of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt movie? When they're vampires. Interview with a Vampire.
There we go. That thing. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
By the way, like I like Kirsten Dunst. She's a great actress, but my God, I hated her character.
Yeah, the compulsive liar. You're like, why are you bullshitting now?
Like every time somebody asks, like, what happened to your parents 3 months ago, she would give out this outrageous story. I was just like,
yeah.
What?
She was about to give one to Alan, and then Peter's like, "Don't you fucking dare! Not this time."
Like they went to like the Middle East for like a peace summit or something like that.
Right? I do love that one moment with Peter when Alan's like, "You need to get an axe, quick!" And then Peter's trying to knock it down with an axe, and ask the audience, "You're like, wait a minute, you what?" And then he's like, "The fuck?" And he looks at the camera and is like, oh, okay.
Because he was like, Peter, there's an axe in the shed.
Yeah.
And he, like, as he's about to bust the lock open, he finds an axe. He's like, I got this. And he looks at the camera, and he's like, alright. I was like, what the fuck?
Right? The crocodile effects were pretty cool. Practical, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Again, there's not much to be said. It's just a very fun 90s movie. Like, it's not that deep, but at the same time, I do like the end where they go back in time and poor Alan's like, wait, the kids, and then Sarah's like, what do you mean? They don't exist yet. We're back in time, and you're like, that's an interesting ending, a way to end it there. And then when they do meet up with them, they're like, alright, we're familiar, even though both of them are like, we just met you. Why are you yelling at our parents to not go on a skiing vacation?
Yeah, because that was like how like their parents died.
Yeah.
And to make sure that they are okay, they made them work over the holiday.
Yeah. They're like,
I was like, okay,
it's for the best. You don't understand.
Yeah.
But you'll thank us later. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this will be a pretty short review because again, not much to say. This is directed by the same guy who's hit or miss. It's Joe Johnson, who also directed Jurassic Park 3 and Captain America: The First Avenger, which I like.
I did not know that. All right.
Yeah, we'll talk about The First Avenger one of these days because I do like it more than most people do.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, going back to the original Jumanji, what would you write? What would you rate? 95's Jumanji.
Uh, I would rate 95's Jumanji like a solid 8 out of 10. Like it, like out of the nostalgia, like it is there.
Yeah.
You know, like there are so many key moments where I'm just like, I remember watching this as a kid. I remember watching this with my brother and sister, and like, eh, and like all the nightmare fuel that this movie gave us. Because again, it is very much a Goosebumps story.
Yeah.
And like, kid gets sucked into game because he was like needed to learn a lesson or something, and once he succeeded at his like lesson learning, he reconciles with his like parent after yelling at them. And I was like, this is very Goosebumps.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I was a very big fan of those back in the day, even though sometimes the author can be a bit odd with his writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, yeah, it is a good movie. It really tickles the nostalgia bone in me when I rewatched it. And yeah, and knowing the fact that Robin Williams here did an amazing job, performed one hell of a character. He's always a standout. You know, like even if he is a side character somewhere, like Good Will Hunting. I think we did a review on Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Years ago.
Yeah, the man still stands out, even though it's supposed to be Matt Damon who's supposed to be the star.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and goddamn, I'm missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give this an 8 out of 10 as well. Like, it's just a very fun 90s movie, and like, I may be a bit biased since I did grow up in the 90s. I was born in 95, which is the perfect year to be a 90s kid, because you get the tail end of that. But yeah, you're right. Even though he is a side character, Robin Williams it does steal the show from everybody, no matter the movie he's in. And that's an impressive feat. And yeah, I miss him too. But yeah, we have his movies to keep his memory alive, and I believe his daughter did a movie this year with Liza Sobrano. It's the Frankenstein one.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been our video for 95's Jumanji. What do you guys think? Please comment below. If you want to see us do the modern Jumanji movies, why not? Sure. I did see the first one. I don't think I've seen the second one. I don't know about you.
I think I saw the second one, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, if you like our video, please leave a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, and Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, I am Zoda's Voices on TikTok and N's Wolf on Letterboxd. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at JomJM_ on Instagram. It is my art account.
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.